Now, all of us, we face sufferings in our own life. In most cases, the sufferings that we go through, they are due to our own foolishness, the mistakes that we have made, the lack of self-control, and because of our own sinfulness, our greed. So these sufferings that we go through, we reap what we sow, sometimes can be good for us. It can be redemptive, provided we learn from our mistakes. And so such sufferings are not wasted on us. But innocent suffering, very often we find difficult to accept. And I think especially the wars that are being fought in the world because of decisions made by leaders. Leaders themselves are not going to wars. They send other people's children to war. I honestly feel, and I think, those leaders who make decisions to send their children to war must send their own children first to the front line so that they can understand and can feel the pain and the sorrow of mothers who have to sacrifice their own children simply because of bad, selfish decisions of leaders, and they have no choice. Sometimes I wonder, when we leaders make decisions, do we think of those people who have to suffer on our account? Same too for all the crimes against children. We never realize that the child is the child of some parents. Have we ever spared a thought for those others who are suffering on account of our decisions? Reckless driving, drink and drive, again, innocent lives are killed. Have we ever thought, again, that child, that woman, that man could be our own relatives? That is why the golden rule, don't do unto others what you don't like others to do unto you. It's a very important basic principle. If everybody holds that principle, I think there'll be less fighting and violence and killing in the world. But also because of fear. Fear that our enemies will attack us. Fear that others will have more than what we have. This is fear that is driving up all the armament, spending so much money on weapons, and spending so little money on humanitarian aids. Those that are really suffering from natural disasters, those who are really suffering from poverty, these are the people we could really help. Here we are pouring money into arms in order to be destroyed. And it costs billions of dollars. That most money could have been given to the poor. And here we are the poor people trying to save a bit of money to give help to those who are suffering in war-torn countries. This is illogical. Those who start the war, those who promote the war, those who foster the wars, those who encourage armament, these are the people who should give all their profits to those who are suffering in the wars. No one should make any single cent out of this war. Today, many people, they're not conscious of sinfulness. They're not conscious of their mistakes. So how can they change? They cannot change. So we need to pray. Pray that we, and especially leaders in the world, will listen to the light. They will search for the light, walk in truth. And truth is always walk in love, in charity. We need to pray that they walk in the light. And they can walk in the light because Jesus is that star that shines at Bethlehem. Jesus is the one who will lead us to the truth, the way, the truth, and the light. Jesus is the one who leads us, who forgives us. All we need to do is to admit our sinfulness and to turn to Jesus, who is our light. That is all that is needed. That calls for humility. That's called for a real recognition of our own blindness. Well, what about for those of us who have to suffer innocently? Although we can do nothing about it, there is something else we can do. We can turn our sufferings and make it holy. That's why holy innocent. It's not just innocent suffering, but holy innocent. How do our sufferings become holy and innocent? Holy when we sanctify our sufferings. Jesus is the sacrifice that takes our sins away. He is our expiation. Christ's innocent suffering was used to redeem us to change our lives. So not all innocent sufferings are in vain. But some of us have to go through the innocent suffering on to wake up sinners. And that was what Jesus did. He died so that conscience might be pricked. So sometimes when we bear our sufferings innocently, some lives would be saved because their eyes would be opened, their hearts would be moved, their hearts would be touched. That's why for those of us, when we have to suffer innocently, because people wrongly accuse us and people make us suffer, we carry our sufferings patiently as an act of expiation for our sins, for us, because we are not so holy after all, not so innocent, but also for the salvation of others. That kind of suffering is redemptive. So let us not also become revengeful, become vindictive, because we suffer innocently. We must be like Jesus, offer our innocent suffering as a means by which we can save humanity. At the end of the day, we can surrender our lives to God, knowing that He is in charge of us and that He is the one ultimately who will lift us out from the darkness of life, and most of all, He will redeem us to fullness of life.